Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome to Stampin' Saturday, the day of the week when we stamp and play with products from the store, and I give you some ideas for how to use them. Today we're going to use the stamp set called Best Dad. It's the one I did for Father's Day, and we're going to do this angled stamping, which is so super fun. I really had a good time doing this, and the biggest thing is I'm going to show you using the MISTI corners, which I have not shown you yet. These are back in stock. They came in yesterday, and I wanted to play with them because I didn't even have a set, so I pulled out my MISTI and started to play. Now here's the thing, I get asked this question a lot. Will the corners work with the mini? Almost all of the pieces in the kit will work with the mini. The only thing I found that won't 100% work is the L-shaped ruler, but the rest will work. In some way, shape, or form, you can use them. So I'm going to use this smaller angle, which I'm going to use down in this corner, and I'm going to use one of these corner pieces to do this card. So let's get started. I'm going to take a piece of white cardstock and I'm going to put it in one of the corners of the MISTI down here toward the bottom. And then I'm going to take this piece and put it right up here. And it happens to be a perfect fit to hold that in place. I'm also going to use an extra magnet just for safekeeping. Now this guy is kind of the same. I guess they call this a right triangle. I don't know. It's pretty much the same. It's not tall and skinny like the other triangle, so I'm using the smaller one. I'm going to place it in the bottom corner, all the way in the corner, okay? Now you see how I have this word daddy right here? That's the first thing we're going to place. And I'm not sure if I want to use daddy on this one or a different one. Well, let's look and see. I was thinking about using number 1 dad, so let's try something different. So this is my number 1 stamp, and this is the word that says dad. And what I'm going to do is line it up where I want it in the middle of the card. Let both of these pieces line up right along that angled edge of the corner piece there. So this is going to get me a nice clean angle, and that's what we're going to work on this whole card with. So now I'm just going to pick up those 2 images, and if anything moves, we're okay because everything is in place where it should be, right? Because I have this piece holding it down and it's in that corner nice and tight. So now I'm going to stamp this in black, just nice strong black in the middle of the card. The other cool thing is, because I'm using my MISTI, if I mess up, I can re-ink it. So I'm going to try to get a good clean impression, which I should, but if I don't, I can come back and do it again. Now, did you see when I lifted that up that this piece lifted? Every time you stamp, you need to put your paper back where it goes. Just sit it back in, use your guides, and make sure it's back where it goes. So now I have number 1 dad in a perfect angle on my card front. Now I'm just using some baby wipes and cleaning the ink off of these. Just kind of a temporary clean. I'll do a real clean later. I'm going to peel these off and put them back onto my stamp sheet. And now the fun part. Okay, basically, I just like to stamp. So this was just an excuse for me to get to stamp a whole bunch of times. So now I'm going to take the sentiments that go along with the dad part of this stamp set and just start placing them all along. I'm going to start on the same line I was on. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in this line. You don't have to, but that's how I'm going to do it because it's just going to help me with my lining things up. Okay, so I'm going to pick something that will fit where, like this one says, you are awesome. That's going to fit perfect. So I'm going to take this one off. And on this angle, I'm just going to match the same angle up. I'm going to lay this stamp down at that corner. Just like so. Just make sure it's lined up on that corner piece and you've got the right angle. Now when I close the door of the MISTI, it's going to pick up that stamp on that angle for me, and I can pull that corner out, always making sure my paper is in the far corner. Now I'm going to play with VersaFine Minis. This is the color Toffee, and I'm just going to mix up the colors around this guy and just have some fun with color. So ink up that sentiment. I don't have to worry about what it looks like. I know I'm lined up, and just stamp that down. So see how I'm on the same angle? It's super cool, right? So clean this one off and go for the next one. Now, here's something important. Keep your fingers clean from ink. You're working on this white page and you're back and forth. You want to make sure you keep the ink off of your fingers. Right here, I'm going to use the sentiment that says, you're the man. You can pick whichever ones you want. You don't have to do as many as I use, like in my card sample. You can use as many as you like, but I think this is kind of cool. So I'm just laying that down on that angle. I'm going to close the door, pick up that stamp, and if that moves, don't stress because we're in the right place, right? We know where we're supposed to be. Let's get another color of VersaFine. You can use any of your colored inks. I just like the VersaFines. I think they're really bright and vibrant. So I'm going to lay this over. Pick that up. Look how cute. You're the man. How cute, right? All right, clean this guy off and put it away. Keep your fingers clean. Now for the trick, and it's not really a trick, it's really simple. What we're going to do, this corner is lined up all the way in the corner. I'm going to keep it lined up against this side, but now I'm going to push it up 1/2 inch. So I'm just pushing until I get to 1/2 inch higher from the bottom. I'm using this ruler on the side. That's all you have to do the next layer. So then I'm going to pick a sentiment that fits in there just perfect. You're a Classic looks good. I'll pick that one out of there. Holding this at 1/2 inch, making sure it doesn't move, and then stick You're a Classic down. Close the door and grab it. Pick it up, move this guy out of the way, make sure we're where we should be, and keep going. This color is Olympia Green. Perfect. We're keeping that line. Isn't that cool? I think it is super neat. All right, let's go to the next one. Same thing again, lining up at the 1/2 inch mark at the bottom and keeping that flush on one side. Now I'm going to use the one that says World's Greatest. Put it right here. Pick it up and stamp. This color is Crimson Red. Cool, huh? We've got that angle working. Really, really cool. All right, I'm going to clean this off and keep going. Now what I'm going to do, I've done the bottom. I've moved up 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to move up one more 1/2 inch. So I'm lined up at the 5, okay? And this is going to allow me to stamp across the top. And now that I have all this space, I'm going to start using some of the longer sentiments. So I think I'll use I'm So Thankful for You as one of the sentiments at the top. So take that one off of the sheet. Line it up here. And you can let it run off the page a little bit, but I like to be able to see most of what the sentiment says so you can read it. Pick that guy up, move this out of the way. I'm going to use the color Satin Red this time. Stamp her down. So cool. Now that's a little pale. I'm not real happy with that. So I'm going to go back and stamp that one again. And that's the beauty of using the MISTI. We can stamp it again and not have to stress about it. So I'm going to ink this up again. Kind of light this time. I don't need a whole lot more. I just want a little more color on that. Make sure my page is where it goes and do that one more time. That's better. Nice and crisp. I'm going to finish this top row out with a couple of sentiments. So back to 5 inches. This one says One of a Kind. I'm going to leave a little space and put this one in next. Just like so. Pick that guy up. This color is Imperial Purple. This will be pretty next to that red. I think all of these colors are so pretty and vibrant. Stamp this into place. Perfect. And then I'm going to put another one right there. Cute. Now, if you notice, the bottom really needs some to kind of balance it out because we've sandwiched in that number 1 dad. We're going to do the bottom as well. Now, to do the bottom, here's my trick. You could turn this upside down and do it that way, but watch this. Instead of moving this guy this time, I'm going to move my paper up 1/2 inch. Again, using this edge, using my ruler, I'm going to move it up 1/2 inch. So there's 1/2 inch, okay? I know this is the angle I want. I'm going to come back and I'm going to add my magnet to hold it in place, okay? So it's going to hold my paper down for me, and then I'm ready to line up my sentiment. Put my corner back in. I'm going to use the one that says Proud to Call You. It's going to go right there in this corner. And I'm doing it with my favorite ink color ever, which is Habanero. I love VersaFine Habanero ink. It is so pretty. So check it out. That's really cool. Now I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to show you something else I did to it. On my first card, what I did was where there was a separation of sentiments, I took my black pen and I just put a dot right between each sentiment where it changes, so that you can tell that that is a different sentiment. It's kind of like just breaking them up, kind of separating them from each other. So anywhere a sentiment ends or begins, there's a dot. Now we're ready to mount this onto another base or to a color. And what I did was I chose one of the colors of the ink to kind of pop, to help the colors to pop from the stamps on the middle of the page. Look how pretty that is. I love it. Okay, let's glue this one down. And this piece that I'm putting around the outer edge, I only cut it where it would have like 1/8 of an inch around the piece underneath. So it's just going to have a little bit peeking out the edge. You'll notice that when you put it on the card base. For the card base, it's just a standard A2 size card. I'm going to score it at 5.5. Fold it and crease it. Just like so. And then I'm going to stamp the inside of it as well. And I already had Happy Father's Day set up on this block from a project on Thursday. I'm going to use it again and stamp right here on the inside of the card, Happy Father's Day. You could do this with the MISTI too, but since I already had this set up, I thought I would just use this one, and then I don't have to pull those stamps off of there. And now we're ready to mount the front to it. I know that looks like I'm using a lot of glue, but I am scraping the surface with this glue. It is barely any on there. Can you see that? I'm just scraping the surface. If you use too much of any liquid glue, you can get warping and the page can kind of get distorted. But with this art glitter glue, you just want to scratch the page. So check it out. I love how that looks. So here they are side by side, and notice you could make a bunch of these because you're using the same angle, so it would look like they were, mass produced professionally. You wouldn't have different angles on each one if you were trying to do it by eye. Now you certainly can do this with a ruler, okay? You don't have to have the MISTI for this. You could do this with a ruler, maybe use like your cutting surface, lay your ruler on an angle, maybe even draw a pencil line to line yourself up. But I think if you got the MISTI, it works really great, and I wanted to show you those corners anyway. So there you go. If you're interested in any of the products that I used today, check out a link below to our blog post that'll have the supplies listed for you guys with links. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much for joining me today. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.